shift gears just a little bit here and talk to Joan about estate planning for business owners and what provisions an individual might need to take into account their business.
It's really important because you have to consider, you may have a trustee who's very good about managing the other assets, whether it be real property, investment accounts, cash accounts, but they may not have any experience with a particular individual's business, and especially if it's a small, closely held corporation. So there are a couple of different things that come into consideration. One is to make certain that you may want to name a special trustee who at least will have some familiarity with the business, has some business acumen himself or herself, and really understands how important it is to be able to step in and help operate the business. If you have a client who is the primary business owner. If you have a situation where you have, let's say, 2 or 3 shareholders, then generally what happens is that you would have a shareholder buy-sell agreement set up so that your interest in the business can be purchased or transferred over to family members or other beneficiaries. And again, then you want to be able to set up a system where you clearly understand who's going to be managing the business, who's going to be making the day-to-day decisions. One example I can give is that a few years ago I had a client who had a company that was going in for major heart bypass surgery. And it was very risky. And so we had set everything up ahead of time in terms of his trust. But the trustee, the successor trustee he had selected, really didn't have experience with operating the business. So what we did in that situation, where we had 2 other directors that sat on the board of directors along with that primary shareholder, and they were not shareholders, so they really were very objective. And we had one of them ready to step into the role as president of the company, and then the other one could go ahead and manage the trust, be the special trustee, because ultimately we knew that what would happen in that situation was to sell the business. And we wanted to make certain it was going to be handled by a special trustee who was a businessman himself and really understood the ins and outs and had a number of different acquisitions in his own career that he had gone through. So that worked out well. It was. It worked out well. The other thing that you have to consider is the type of trust you have and the type of business. Make certain that those are in line with one another. For example, if you have a subchapter S business and you have a subchapter S corporation, then the corporation has made the election to be treated as the subchapter S, and it's a pass-through entity. Profits and losses pass through the entity to the individual shareholders. If that is the situation, then it's really important to make certain that the trust qualifies for the subchapter S provisions, so that if it doesn't, what can happen is that the corporation may become disqualified and can no longer can no longer have subchapter S treatment. So you have to be aware of that, work with your accountant to make certain that the attorney is aware of that, and also include subchapter S provisions in the trust.
We're talking with Joan Walsh. She is an estate planning and transactional attorney. The website is walshlawapc.com. walshlawapc.com. Okay, business succession plan. Now you kind of hit on it a little bit there, but give us more specifically what business succession planning is.
What oftentimes, especially for small businesses and corporations, they don't think about what happens in the event they become disabled, what happens in the event of death. They may very well, if it's family-owned business, they may have 1 or more children that's involved in the business. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be able to take over the business and continue to operate the business. And if that's the case, then the owners of the business really need to make an assessment whether or not those children are really qualified to continue to operate the business. They may be great at their own specialty within the corporation. That doesn't necessarily, though, equate to having the proper and appropriate business experience to expand the business and to continue the operation. If that's the case, then clients will want to take a look at some key employees. And so you may identify a key employee that has the opportunity to continue to operate the business. They may have been, the owner's right-hand person. And it's not necessarily appropriate or necessary for you to give the key employee stock, although it certainly provides an incentive to have them stick around after the owner dies.
Yes,
Right.
certainly does.
And to continue to operate the business in the best interest of all the beneficiaries and himself or herself. And there may be a group of key employees. So you may very well want to give them stock options. There can be stock incentive plans set up where you're going to have key employees purchase your shares over a course of time. And that you need to coordinate with the accountant to see if perhaps you can get capital gains treatment as opposed to ordinary income. There are a lot of really important considerations. The other thing, too, is that I always explain to clients they need to take a look at it early on. Don't wait. Certainly people don't know when they're going to die or when they're going to become disabled.
Right.
But sometimes they'll have an idea when they might want to retire. And so it's important to do business succession planning with the retirement in mind as well. And you don't want to wait until the last minute until the person is so tired of running and operating the business that they just want to get rid of the business.
Yeah.
You want to be able to have a successful transition. And so you want to identify who those people are that may be interested in purchasing the business, whether it comes from within, from key employees, or whether it's a combination of key employees and children that you're going to give stock to, and allow the key employees the opportunity to purchase more shares of stock. Or you can identify for your trustee, which is very important, the who might be competitors out there that may be interested in purchasing a corporation.
Right.
And that's very, very helpful as well.
Makes sense. We've been talking with Joan Walsh as well as Christine Chacon. They are both estate planning and transactional attorneys with the Walsh Law Firm. The website is walshlawapc.com. That's the website, walshlawapc.com. Ladies, I want to thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.